So the topic we are going to discuss here is factors affecting channels of distribution. Let's begin. So as already discussed the different levels of channels, we also discussed the different types. What are the different types we have? So the big question here is that on what basis we decide what should be our channel level or what should be our channel type. We already discussed the channel type, right? So it was all about exclusive, selective, or inclusive. Our channel could be 0 level, 1 level, 2 level, 3 level. So we'll be doing it in separately, but on what factors, on what basis actually you decide that okay, uh, this should be our channel type. Okay, so we'll discuss all those factors. So the first is considerations related to product. So the first thing which you need to understand is the unit value of the product. When the product is very, very costly, it is best suited to use a small distribution channel. Very simple, because the more the product has to travel, the more there are chances of damage, wastage. So when your product is very, very costly or expensive or exclusive, try to sell it from your own distribution channel or through for the small distribution channel. For example, if you look at gold ornaments, it is always sold through very small distribution. Either manufacturer directly sell it from their own stores or they give it to very few stores. Very simple. On the other hand, if you have very less costly products, so for example, a shampoo, a toothpaste, or maybe a deodorant, or anything, any product such like that. So it's one of those products which are convenience-based products, and mostly it requires a long distribution network so that it can reach out to everyone. So that is why you will always use long distribution channel. Okay, so the first factor you need to consider is unit value of the product. Second is how standardized or how customized your product is. So, for example, if you have a standardized product, that means everything is predetermined. Then there is no scope of alternation. For example, whenever you are making, like, for example, any thermostat bottles or Milton bottles, Milton is a brand. So, if the Milton bottles you are making, so in that situation, it is one of those products which is very, very standardized, and it has a very it requires a long distribution channel. The reason here is that you don't need to alter it once the machine is set, once the raw material is ready, you will just produce it and you will get it packaged and you can send it to, you can easily distribute it to your distributor, your wholesaler, your trader. And that is how standardized product should be given to always a long distribution channel. On the other hand, if you have a customized product, that means you are customizing it for every customer. So in that situation, it is very difficult setting up a different machine for every customer, right? For example, medical equipments. So medical equipment at times require that alteration, or it requires that inputs from customer that I want in this way, I want in that way. So more and more face-to-face interaction should be there with the consumer, and that is where your direct sales could be a very good option. You will have your medical representative, they will go to doctors, they will meet them, they will understand their requirement, they will let your production team know that this is the requirement, and then the product will be developed. So that is why your distribution will always require long distribution if it is a standardized product. If your product is a very customized product or it needs alterations, you will not be choosing a very long distribution. You will always try to build short distribution through your direct sales. Third is perishability. Perishability means how early a product gets perished. For example, like vegetable, fruits, your milk products, dairy products. So they will always perish very soon. So if you will choose a long distribution network, most of the time the product will get damaged in the distribution process only. It will never reach out to customer. So it is always better that if you have a highly perishable product, try to use a minimum channel members for doing it. But or if you are using, even if you are choosing a lot, make sure that everything is very quick, because for example a milk packets generally last for 2 days, maybe, and in some countries where the temperature is very hot, it may not be lasting more than 2 days. That means in within the 2 days the product needs to be produced also, it needs to be distributed also, it needs to be available on the shelves also, and somebody has to buy also. So that is why it is very quick. But there are certain countries, in the cold countries, it may extend up to 15-20 days. So you have that time with you. So if you have that time, then don't need to worry. Always go with the long channel. If you don't have that long time, like for example vegetables, it will not be lasting for more than 2 days max to max. After that, nobody is going to buy it. So in that situation, long distribution channels are not at all suitable for perishable products, whereas short is good. Long term is good for furnitures, for home appliances, because then you can, even now the brands like IKEA, or they have tried to provide you more of an experience, or maybe Samsung or LG. So they also trying to sell it from their exclusive stores. So I believe that inclusive products are only limited, or intensive distribution is more limited to only FMCG products. Another important factor is the technical nature of the product. So if the product is very technical in nature, that means consumer needs to understand, or consumer needs a demo, or customer want to try the product before they buy, then it is always better to go with the exclusive stores. On the other side, if the product is not that technical, customer can understand by themselves also. They have the knowledge, they can understand. For example, look at keyboards or maybe mouse. Like, anybody can use it, right? There is no issues at all. So if anybody can use it, or they already know how to use it. So in that situation, it is not that technical. So it is easier to use an extensive, or maybe an intensive, or selective distribution network. But if the product is very technical, then always try to use exclusive. Consideration related to markets. So let's talk about what are the points we have in this: the number of buyers, types of buyer quantity, size of market. Let's talk about that now. So the first point we have is the number of buyers. So if the number of buyers are very large, then it is always better to have a middleman, or the distribution network should be there, because it is very difficult for any company to reach out to each and everyone. So it is always better uh, to tick box all the channel distribution. Try to sell it online also, try to sell it from your own store also, try to sell it through middlemen also, like the distribution retailer. Use all those platform, because then it will be, there is all possibility to reach out to the people, right? On the contrary, if the distribution is if the buyers are very less, that means very few people are buying it. For example, Apple iPhones, or maybe BMW cars. So when the product is a luxury product, right? So always use a distribution network which is short in nature, close in nature, or maybe exclusive, very exclusive. So it always depends on number of buyer, whether the buyers are large, whether the number of buyers are small. Second is, what are the types of buyer you have? So there could be two types of buyer. One is called the general buyers, like consumers. We are one of those consumers. Other are called industrial buyers. Industrial buyers are like business to business buyers. So when if the more buyers of the product belong to a general category, that means you need more middlemen, obviously, because there is a general customer. So they're large in numbers, right? So that is the reason why you need more middlemen. In case of the industrial buyers, for example, B2B selling is going on. So in that situation, you don't require a very uh, lot of middlemen. You will need a lot of direct sales people who will go to those companies, give them demos, explain them the whole, and try to sell maybe 15-16 machine in one go. Right? There is a company from Belgium called as Pican also. They are into textile machines. So they always want to sell that product through direct sales. So they have their sales team very trained, very exclusive, operating in different parts of the world, and they are the ones who visit different textile companies and try to sell the product. So that is very important. So it is very important that you always consider what types of buyer you have. Next important is the buying quantity. So if the and it is very useful for the manufacturer to rely on the services of the middleman if the goods are bought in a very smaller quantity. So if the goods are very bought in a very smaller quantity, why you will require a very separate store for it, or separate? For example, there was a time when we used to have uh, like customer care given to local stores. So local store, if there it is, so they will take up all the service related work. But now the companies, what they do, specifically the bigger companies like Samsung, Apple, they have their own customer care centers, or maybe service centers, because they don't want their customers experience to be poor. Size of the market. So the market is big or it is scattered, use middlemen. If it is not scattered, very focused, then do not use middle. What are the other factors apart from product and market? So there are certain factors. Let's talk about that. First is goodwill. So if your brand has value, it has goodwill, it will also affect your selection of distribution, your chances of this channel of distribution. That means if the manufacturer has a very good reputation, it will never be dependent on middlemen. They will always try to encash on their own brand name. For example, brands like Apple, Samsung, Dyson, these brands are so popular that they don't want to be dependent on any middleman. It is for a newer company. If a new company is there whose goodwill is not established, so then they use the power of distribution, right? And for example, go to Amazon, right? If Amazon, you will see a similar product sold by a company which is a very well-known brand. On the other side, there are other companies also who are selling it, because Amazon is a very reputed brand. A lot of companies, a lot of people visit Amazon, so other companies also have a chance of selling your product. Very simple. Next is the cost. So this is also very important. So how much money you are ready to spend on it. So if you want longer distribution channel, you need to spend a lot of money. So it is always better to, if you're a startup or a new company, always try to choose a very short distribution channel, and then with time you can increase, right? Next is the possibility of sales. So if the channel, you believe that your possibility of sales are really high and demand will be there in the market, then definitely look for the long distribution channel. But if you believe that you are also trying it right now, you don't know whether the sales will be there or demand will be there for that product or not. So it is always better to, rather than giving anyone else any weightage, always just try to sell it through each and every distribution network. Okay. So with this, we are done with this topic also, and this was on channel of distribution. I hope the point is clear.